Hello there, welcome to the Football Block. My name is Brandon. Today I'm going to give you my official predictions for the entirety of the 2022 World Cup. If that sounds interesting, then let's hop right into it. So in another video I just did, I had a group stage prediction where I went through and looked at each of the groups who I think was going to go through, who I think is going to get eliminated. But today here I'm going to do an overall predictions. We have several categories to look at. I'm going to tell you who I think is going to be the champions of the World Cup, runners-up, third place, fourth place, who I think is going to be the surprise team, the flop team, which player I think is going to win the golden ball, the golden boot, and of course the golden glove. So we got nine categories there. And I'm gonna go through each one, give a little analysis and explanation for why I'm choosing that particular team or player, and then we'll go from there. So let's start off with the champion. Now this one is really tough. There is a few teams here that I think are serious contenders. However, I think it is between two teams, and it is between Argentina and Brazil. And if everything goes well, if everything goes to how my predictions are going to go, if they top the group and all that stuff, Argentina and Brazil will meet each other in the semifinals. And I think if that does happen, that will be the final before the final. I think that will be the actual final, basically. Like whoever wins that match will end up going through and winning the entirety of the tournament. After the finalissima, I had Argentina as clear favorites for this tournament. But Brazil have made it interesting because just look at the Brazilian players and how good they have been. The form that they have been is crazy. But I'm still going to stick with Argentina. And I've said this before already, but I think this Argentinian team, this current iteration of the Argentinian national team, is the best version of the Argentinian national team that I have ever seen as a football fan. Now, yes, it may not be the most talented. It is very talented in terms of player quality, but you know, okay, maybe 2010 was a little better, maybe 2006 was a little better, but none of those teams were a team. It was just a bunch of incredibly talented individuals put out onto the field. Not only that, there was some managerial problems, like, I mean, look at Diego Maradona in 2010. I don't think Argentina have those problems this time around. They also don't have the whole, you know, corruption of the FA, or at least, you know, really intense media scrutiny of that behind them as well. So you have a great manager like Lionel Scaloni. You have a great goalkeeper like Emi Martinez. Very solid backline. Otamendi's still around, but you have a guy like Christian Romero. You have a guy like Sandro Martinez, Tagliafico. Look at the midfield. Midfield is pretty solid as well. You know, Paredes, Lo Celso, De Paul, and then up top, of course, you got Messi, Di Maria, Lautaro Martinez. Now, Di Maria might be a little doubt for the tournament. He has had a long string of injuries since moving to Juventus. It looks like he will still be included in the squad. If not, though, I think that could be a blow, and that could be the difference between Argentina and Brazil winning the World Cup, because of how clutch Di Maria is, especially in the biggest moments. You know, and speaking of those biggest moments, those clutch moments from Di Maria, Argentina are also the reigning champions of South America, and well, they also completely destroyed Italy in the finalissima as well. So I think there's just so many things stacked up in Argentina's favor, and ultimately, you know, Messi said this is going to be his last World Cup. I think not only he will be motivated to go out with a trophy in his hand, but of course the rest of the Argentinian team will be as well. So overall, I think Argentina are my champions for the 2022 World Cup. Now you look on to second place. If everything goes well in the bracket, I think that Portugal is going to be the team that faces Argentina in the final and unfortunately loses. Now, I know this is a crazy prediction, it's a bold prediction, and you can call me biased, of course, because, you know, I'm a big Ronaldo fan, but also I'm partially Portuguese. So you can call me biased all you want, but I think this is the people's final. This is the final that everyone wants to see. They want to see the Messi versus Ronaldo final, the Portugal versus Argentina final, and I think it will happen. Now, it's not just wishful thinking. Okay, part of it is, but it's not completely wishful thinking. Obviously, from a Portugal point of view, they have a wonderful team. If you just look at the squad on paper, you can make an argument that they should be in the at least in the conversation for title contenders. Now, yes, I know the manager, Fernando Santos, is not the best manager. He's not the right guy for the job. His defensive style does just not fit this team full of attacking players. But crazy things happen at the World Cup. Sometimes just emotion leads a team through. And I've said this before in previous videos, I don't think Portugal are going to really play that well. In fact, I think they're going to be, a complete, like just scrap team where, okay, they may concede 2 goals, but then they score 3. Or they might take a game to extra time or to penalties. A moment of brilliance. Ronaldo comes up with a header out of nowhere, or Bruno Fernandes comes with a free kick or something, just a wonderful cross, something like that. And that'll send them through to the knockout stage and then far through the knockout stage into the final. Now, I don't think they have enough in them to overcome Argentina. But also, from a Ronaldo point of view, he's been saving himself for the World Cup. He has not really been playing that well for Manchester United, and you can just feel that he's just saving up all his energy, all his motivation, all that emotion for the World Cup, and he wants to make it to the final. He wants to meet Messi. He wants to beat Messi so he can say he's the greatest player of all time and not Messi. Yes, there's this mutual rivalry between them. A lot of, they may not speak about it much, and they may, obviously they highly respect each other, but you gotta, there's gotta be a part of them that just knows, hey, if I don't win this World Cup and the other guy does, he's going to be the greatest of all time. And I don't want that. I want to be the greatest of all time, So there's that motivation there. And like I said, this team is so talented. I think they will be able to carry themselves through, especially if they end up topping the group. I think they'll have a slightly easier, obviously there's no easy game at the World Cup, but I think there will be a slightly easier path if they top the group, which I think they will. So Portugal will be my second place. I don't think they have enough in them to overcome Argentina. I just went on and talked about how great Argentina is, and for those reasons, Portugal I think will fall short in the final, but still I think it'll be a very commendable result for them. So now let's go on to third place, and like I said before, we're talking about Argentina. If everything goes well, I think that Brazil and Argentina will meet each other in the semifinals, and Argentina will come out on top. I think it's going to be a really feisty game. That game, if it does happen, might be one of the greatest World Cup matches ever, just in terms of just the occasion of it, the Brazil-Argentina rivalry. Seeing that at the semifinal, Messi versus Neymar, that could be maybe the greatest match of this World Cup, maybe one of the greatest of all time. Like I said, I think Argentina will go through, meaning Brazil go to the third place playoff. And this Brazilian team is incredibly strong. They just completely mow down all opposition in their recent games. The squad is so stacked. I mean, just in goalkeeper, you have Alisson or Ederson. In defense, you have Marquinhos, Thiago Silva still around, Eder Militao. And then you look at the midfield, Paquetá, Casemiro. The front line is also just insane. Neymar is playing in the best form that he's been since probably Barcelona days. But yeah, Rafinha, Vinicius Jr., Gabriel Jesus, even a guy like Pedro from Flamengo. This team is just popping off on all cylinders. And like I said, I don't think that they'll have enough in them to overcome Argentina. I think Argentina just have this mythical nature about them because of, they want to win the World Cup for the third time. They want to, finally add a third star onto the shirt, and also they want to win it for Messi. But beyond Argentina, I think Brazil is the best team in the tournament, and I think they'll have enough in them to win bronze. Now, when it comes to the fourth team, the last team in the semifinals, the team that I think Brazil will defeat in the fourth place match, this one might be a little out there. I'm going to say Denmark is actually the team that makes it to the semifinals. And in terms of the bracket, I think Denmark will top the group. I think they will surprise France. And then from that moment on, I think they have a relatively reasonable path to the semifinals. It's possible that they'll face England in the rematch of the Euro semifinal, and I think this time around Denmark will probably get the better of them. I think Denmark are better since last year versus England have declined. But you can look at how great Denmark played at the Euros, and like I said, I think Denmark are even better now. I think that will expand upon those performances. This team, they're just such a fun team to watch. They have such an electric and just fiery style of play. They're very ruthless style. They just attack, attack, attack. But their defense is also very strong as well. You look at Kasper Schmeichel and goal, wonderful goalkeeper. And there's a Christensen in defense. Now, yes, he's injured, but I think he'll be okay for the World Cup. Simon Kjaer as well, underrated center back. And then the team, like, you know, it's not filled with world-class stars. Yes, you have a guy like Christian Eriksen who is world-class. Yes, a little old, but he is, you know, world-class. But it's a very interesting lineup of players, guys that work really well together. I mean, look at a guy like Damsgaard or Dahlberg. At their club level, they're decent players, but when they play for Denmark, especially when they play together, they are a whole different team. They take it to a whole nother level. And same thing with the front line when you look at a guy like Poulsen or Braithwaite. Yes, again, for the clubs, okay players, but when it comes to the national team, they you know, just go into a whole nother gear. And the team collective, the manager is a wonderful manager as well. Everyone knows their positions, everyone knows their limitations and their strengths, and it's just such a well-drilled, well-oiled machine. And I think that they will be a team that surprises many and makes it to fourth place. Now, I don't think that they'll have enough in them to make it to the final or win the World Cup or win bronze, but still, fourth place is going to be occupied by Denmark, in my opinion, for the 2022 World Cup. So now we go on to the next category. We have the surprise team, and like I said, Denmark making it to the semifinals is enough to qualify them for a surprise team. Now, you know, there is a little bit of nuance with this category, because, like, how do you define surprise team? Like, for example, if a team like the Netherlands were to win the World Cup, would that count as a surprise? Because, you know, no one's really expecting the Netherlands to win, but still, they've made it to 3 finals in the past. You know, they have a lot of really talented players. But I think if predictions go, if my predictions are correct, Denmark making the semifinals is enough to qualify them for a surprise team. And the reason that I think they will be such a surprise team are the reasons that I just talked about just like a minute ago, where the style of play, the very dynamic, open, exciting style of play, but also the very strong team collective, the team unit that they have, you know, the strong players in each position, and also their past results as well. They've had some really good past results. Like they defeated France twice. Also, yes, they made it all the way to the semifinals of the Euros. That motivation going into this tournament. And also, Denmark is a team that has surprised in the past before. They have that team history. They have that national aura around them. They, out of nowhere, completely won Euro 1992. They weren't even supposed to be in that tournament. Then they went in and then ended up winning the whole thing. So they have that go for them as well. I will... for the purpose of this category, since I already talked about Denmark in the last category, I will add a part 2 to this one. I think Qatar will be another surprise team to a lesser degree in 2022. Now, a lot of people are really writing off Qatar, and it makes sense. I mean, you know, they've never been to a World Cup before. No one really can name any Qatari players. The average football fan doesn't even know a single Qatari player. You know, and you know, just look at statistically in terms of like the FIFA rankings, they are pretty low compared to everyone else. But you know, I've seen a lot of this Qatari team. I've seen them play at the Asian Cup, where they completely crushed everyone and they won. They were the, you know, at least in that year, the best team in Asia. They played some beautiful football. I watched them at the Copa America, and you know, they ended up getting eliminated in the group stage, but they were competitive. I saw them at the Gold Cup last year, where, you know, they should have been in the final. Like, they got eliminated. We eliminated them in the semifinals, but they outplayed us. That, you know, imagine that, Qatar in the final of the Gold Cup. They played really well throughout the tournament. And then they also, you know, they got bronze in the Arab Cup last year. So this is a very strong team. They all play really well together. They all know each other. They all play domestically in the Qatari League, which, you know, in one hand, it's a downside because they don't really have, like, you know, experience in the, you know, top European league, or at least like a top South American league. You know, they all play in the Qatari League. But, you know, the manager has a great style. They have a very interesting style where it's somewhat I don't want to say possession based, but there's you can see a lot of influence from La Masia, a lot of influence from Barcelona in the way they play. They're a very counterattack heavy team, but they're extremely technical. They can hold on to the ball well. They just choose not to. They just choose to be very quick and direct. But they have some beautiful runs of play and passages of play between them if you ever watch this team. And there's a lot of very good players as well littered throughout the team. You look at a fullback like Roro, or you look at Akram Afif or Almawez Abli up top, the captain Hassan Al Haidos. Players that, unless you really pay attention to international football and pay attention to this Qatari team, you probably never heard of, but they are very, very talented players. And also the home advantage as well. Like every host nation always does well at the World Cup, even if they're a smaller team. Look at Russia last time. Okay, Russia was the lowest ranked team in the FIFA World Rankings going into the World Cup. And yes, I know the World Rankings don't really mean much, but still, they were the lowest ranked team going into the World Cup, and then they ended up making it all the way to the quarterfinals, eliminating Spain, by the way. You look at 2010, for example, yes, okay, South Africa didn't make it through ultimately, but they still beat France. And that's a huge achievement there. And they were close. They almost made it through. So I think it'll be a similar story with Qatar. I think they will make it out of the group stage. Now, I don't really think they'll go any farther than round 16. But that in itself is a huge surprise, because everyone, or not everyone, but a lot of people are going to how you're saying, they're going to lose every single game. They're going to finish bottom of the group. I don't think that's going to happen. And I've said this in previous videos before, but you also have to address the elephant in the room. Referees might be cutting Qatar a little slack as well. Never rule out bribery. There's been a lot of shady stuff with this World Cup as well. But jokes aside, I think this team is a very good team, and I think they have it in them to make it to the knockout stage and ultimately be a surprise. Now, on the unfortunate other side of the coin, there always is a flop team. Every World Cup has a flop team. There's always a big team that gets scalped, or a team that has high expectations and end up falling short. Now, this tournament, or this category, is the biggest flop. So there may be other teams that end up flopping, but I'm going to try and predict the biggest flop. Some people may speculate France, because obviously they're the reigning champions. Champions curse. I don't think France will get eliminated in the group stage. I don't think they'll have a good tournament either. And I think they ultimately will flop, but I don't think it will be the biggest flop. I think the biggest flop will be Belgium. I think Belgium are not going to make it through to the group stage. Now, they are in a very interesting group, a very tight group, a group where all four teams have a realistic chance of both making it through, but also getting eliminated. And I think the way Belgium lines up against these other teams, I think you can see a lot of their weaknesses be exploited. They still have a very star-studded squad with guys like Kevin De Bruyne, guys like Romelu Lukaku, Thibaut Courtois, but they are severely lacking in some positions, such as wingers. I think the wingers are not there, especially when you look at the decline of Eden Hazard, and then also defense, specifically the center of the park, the center backs, Toby Alderweireld and Jan Vertonghen, who have been stalwarts of that Belgian defense for years, and two of the best center backs in the world. Neither of them are playing at top level. They're both very old, and there are no natural replacements, so that's why they're still playing. I think Belgium can be exploited there, especially when you look at a fiery offense like Canada, who okay, they don't have that much experience, but it's just the quick and energetic nature of them could completely blow apart the center back pairing between Jan Vertonghen and Toby Alderweireld there, for example. And also just the motivation might be lacking, because Belgium is a team that has come close, but they've always kind of fallen short of expectation. They had this golden generation. They were supposed to win something, okay, maybe not a World Cup, but at least the Euros. They didn't even win a Nations League. And I think this time around, the motivation is just, the pressure is just going to come crashing down, and that's just going to culminate in a crisis here. And I think Belgium are going to be the flop team. Now, there are a few other teams. If my bracket goes away, I think it will. I think Netherlands and Qatar will be the teams that go through in Group A, which means that Senegal goes out, and Senegal are the best team in Africa. To see them going out in the group stage would certainly be a flop, and I think that is one worth mentioning. But like I said, I think the biggest flop will be Belgium. So they take the cake for this category, in my opinion. So now let's move on to individual awards, moving on from teams to individual players. The first one we will look at is the Golden Ball. Now, if everything goes well with my predictions and everything goes right, there are a lot of players that could be in contention for the Golden Ball. Obviously, if Argentina win the World Cup, I think Messi will play a central part in that victory, and he will obviously be a name thrown into the hat. Also, if Portugal make it that far, and if Ronaldo has the good World Cup that I expect him to have, he is another name to be thrown out there. But I think ultimately the World Cup Golden Ball will go to Neymar Jr. of Brazil. Now, like I said, I think Brazil will do very good this World Cup. They won't have it in them to make it all the way to the final and win, but they will end up winning bronze, and Neymar, I think, will be a central piece to that. You know, just the way the team is set up, they play to Neymar's benefits. He is the center of this team. They don't rely on him, so he has... I mean, they do rely on him to a certain extent, but it's not like the older days where they were dependent on him. So he has the freedom to kind of just, you know, dazzle the stage, to kind of just play like he likes to play like he's having fun. And I think we'll see that in the group stage as well. There's, you know, these opponents are perfect opportunities for Neymar to just show his skills, to, you know, the flips and tricks and all the dances and things like that. The you know, the goals, the celebrations, the assists, the wonderful dribbles. Also, just the mentality, the mindset that Neymar's in. He has just been super focused on himself, on his team. He hasn't really been distracting himself with all this non-football related controversies. Even on the pitch, he has really reduced the amount of fights he gets in, or all these antics like flopping or diving, stuff like that. So also, I think the probability works in Neymar's favor, in the sense that since the 1994 World Cup, every single one of the Golden Balls has gone to a player that is not on the winning team. I mean, you look back at 2018, Luka Modric from Croatia won it. 2014, Messi himself won it. 2010, Diego Forlan, so on and so on. So I think Neymar will benefit from that. You know, you can make an argument that the FIFA intentionally does that so that, you know, they can give at least some award to a guy that hasn't won it, or it could just be coincidence. But either way, I think that the Golden Ball will this time be awarded to Neymar Jr. Now on to the Golden Boots. Like I said, there are a lot of players that I think could be in contention for that, and sometimes the Golden Boots is, you know, a little unpredictable. You know, like, okay, Harry Kane winning the Golden Boot in 2018, not super unpredictable, but James Rodriguez in 2014, that was pretty unpredictable. You know, some people predicted him to have a good World Cup, but, you know, he's a midfielder. For him to score 6 goals, you know, is you know, very unpredictable. Not a lot of people would have seen that. So this time around, though, I think the best thing to look at is which of these players, first of all, is going to be consistently starting and playing. So this, obviously, the more time they have on the pitch, the more opportunities they have to score goals. But also, you know, you look at the group stage, who is going to realistically have the best opportunities to score lots of goals? Which of these teams have, or which of these players are going to be going up against teams which, you know, maybe have not the best defenses, or don't have a defensive style of play that they'll be able to concede a lot of goals. And when taking all that into consideration, the Golden Boot, in my opinion, for the 2022 World Cup is going to go to Lautaro Martinez. Like I said, Argentina is my favorites. I think they're going to end up winning the World Cup, meaning, you know, they're going to play 7 games. They're going to go all the way through the knockout stage, giving Lautaro Martinez a lot of opportunities to score goals. But also, in the group stage specifically, Argentina is going up against Poland, Mexico, and Saudi Arabia. 3 teams that, you know, aren't particularly known for having strong defenses. Specifically, you know, look at Poland and you look at Mexico. Both of them have extremely aging defenses, which you put them up against a team like Argentina, I think they would be like torn to shreds. Especially just how old their center backs are. Like, I mean, Poland, Kamil Glik, like that guy, quality defender, but you can just expect a guy like Lautaro Martinez is going to blow past him, right? And then also Lautaro Martinez, if you look consistently through his last tournament performances for Argentina at the 2021 Copa America and the 2019 Copa America, he's a guy that just shows up big for Argentina. It's weird because he's not a generational talent like Sergio Aguero or Gonzalo Higuain, but for the Argentinian national team in the biggest moments, even in the small sample size, he has shown up much more consistently than those two guys. I mean, both those guys, Higuain especially, would disappear in the biggest moments, unfortunately for him and for Argentina. But Lautaro Martinez so far hasn't done that. Now, the World Cup is a much bigger stage than the Copa America, but still, if you just look at his track record, he scored, he even scored in the Finalissima. He scored the opening goal for Argentina there. He's just always a clutch player, and also I think the system fits him well. Lionel Scaloni also really likes him. So yeah, for the Golden Boot for 2022 World Cup, in my opinion, is going to Lautaro Martinez. So now we go on to our final individual award and final category for my official 2022 World Cup predictions, and that is the Golden Glove to the best goalkeeper of the tournament. I think, especially if you look at these teams, it's teams with strong defenses. You look at a team like Argentina or Brazil, I think you have to throw names into the hat like Emi Martinez for Argentina or Alisson for Brazil. Also for Kasper Schmeichel, as well as I expect Denmark to do very well, and he often performs very well at tournaments. He even played really well at the last World Cup in 2018, and in my opinion, besides Courtois, probably was the best goalkeeper in 2018. But for 2022, I'm gonna go for Diogo Costa, which is a bold prediction. I know I haven't heard a single other person make that prediction, but you know me, if you watch these videos before, I always like to have at least one bold prediction in the selection of them, because there's always something unexpected that happens. Now, yes, throughout this video, I know I've had a few bold predictions, but I think Diogo Costa will be the one to win the Golden Glove, specifically because of the way Portugal are going to play, or how at least I think they're going to play, where they're just going to be super scrappy, super pragmatic. They're just going to be throwing everything. Emotion is going to be what's dragging Portugal to the final. And I think that, look at their defense. Their defense is very strong, but the way it's strong in terms of player quality. But if you look at how they played at the Euros and also how they played in recent matches, this Portuguese team overall doesn't dominate games. Like, they'll play well in patches, but then there'll be other sections of the game where they're kind of just lose the plot. Their defense kind of gets all out of whack, and it's ironic because Santos likes to set up the team in a pragmatic defensive style, but that almost has like a paradoxical effect where the defense ends up being like the weakest link, or at least the whole team, maybe not an individual defender, but the whole team from a defensive point of view kind of just falls apart. And I think Diogo Costa will save Portugal on numerous occasions. I think, especially like I said before, I think Portugal will probably drag a lot of games into extra time, maybe penalty shootouts, and Diogo Costa will be the guy to save Portugal there, while maybe a guy like Ronaldo up top is banging in the goals and dragging the team from the front. The one who's keeping things short at the back is going to be Diogo Costa. Also, club form, the guy has been insane for Porto. He just had a game where he saved like 2 penalties in 2 minutes. He's very good at saving penalties, and he's just in red hot form right now. And given how this World Cup is going to be, how it's right smack in the middle of the season, I think club form is really going to be a good indicator for how well these players and teams overall play. So yes, my Golden Glove will go to Diogo Costa of Portugal. So anyway, guys, that has been my official predictions for the 2022 World Cup. I cannot believe it is already here pretty much. I am so excited. I'm so hyped for it. Let me know what you think of my predictions. Do you disagree? Do you think that it's crazy for Portugal to make it to the final? Do you think that I am blinded by bias? Do you think that I'm overrating Argentina or Brazil? Do you think a European team is going to win it? Because historically, the European teams have gotten the better of South America in the past few World Cups. Do you disagree with who's going to win the Golden Ball? Who do you think is going to be the flop team? Do you think that I'm completely underselling Belgium, for example? yes, Belgium have declined, but to say that they're going to get eliminated in the group stage, that is a bit of a stretch. Let me know what you think of that. Let me know what you think of the surprising. Do you think I'm completely overrating Qatar? Do you think that they're going to lose every single one of their group stage games or something like that? To make sure to type all your comments below. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Share this video with a friend. But anyway, guys, my name is Brandon, and this has been the Football Block. I hope you guys have a nice rest of your night.